o'clock hour. Every Thursday, we have a Power of Mind with Edward Hong, who is a self-development expert. Edward 씨, 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요. Good morning. Hi, how are you? Welcome to the first Thursday of Rest of Your Life.
All right. Welcome to a horror movie. It sounds like a horror movie. Okay, so we talk about how our brain works and a different approach about, even though it's the same issue. What are we going to talk about today?
Well, I really want to talk about power of our mind.
Power of our mind. So we're going to talk about the title.
Exactly. That's what it is.
Okay, tell me a little bit more.
It's more so about a capacity of a human mind, the power of a human mind.
Okay.
Yeah. So Kelly, let me ask you.
Uh-huh.
What do you think about the capacity of a human mind?
I think limitless.
Limitless. That's a good question. I mean, good answer. Really good answer.
Really?
Because there is no limit.
Okay.
In our mind.
Okay.
The power of our mind is just infinite power that we have in us. And sometimes we caught into daily the days, and we just cut into it, and we just can make ourselves smaller and smaller sometimes, and we didn't think that we have that much power in us.
But what is the right answer, though? What's the capacity of a mind?
Limitless.
Limitless.
You're right.
Oh, I got the right answer.
Yes.
All right.
Here's
all
a
right.
surprise.
Okay. Pop. Okay. Well, I mean, when you talk about the mind is limitless, I thought about this, some of a story that people who suffer from cancer, who didn't know they have a cancer, as soon as they find out from the doctor, you have a cancer, and then they just felt kind of, 나 정말 아파, from that moment.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Acceptance of that news they hear, that's when we starting to have a mind to work with that, and maybe sometimes they start believing that, you know what, this disease that tell me that I have, and I see many cases that people are losing the battle. Right. And that's the mindset that will cause you to,
just don't give up.
Don't
just
give up.
Be positive, and then we're gonna fight for this.
Exactly.
Right.
And there are many cases. I mean, there's so much of a manifestation that in human life, a human evolution, that we prove that we are much more than who we really think we are.
Right.
I mean, I always emphasize that any moment in your life, we are much bigger than who we think we are. Right. Sometimes we. There's a lot of broken records, breaking news of breaking records of this human being. They reach to like the level of something that we never even can imagine, right? I mean, for instance, what was his name? Roger Bannister, who broke the 4 minutes per mile, running in Olympic in 1952 in Helsinki. I mean, no one ever thought that anybody could run that fast, right? But once he broke that record, right, now we believe in ourselves that we could run that fast as a human being.
Because somebody did it.
Exactly.
Maybe there's somebody else out there.
I think after 46 days, there's a gentleman named John Landy. He broke his record, Bannister's record. So he came in like a couple of seconds earlier. And then after he broke that, like year down the line, the 3 other gentlemen who broke their John's record and run faster than that.
Wow. Okay.
So it's all about our mind. And I mean that's not just one story. I mean the story is like it goes on. I mean like John F. Kennedy says what now? I mean yesterday was the 50 years anniversary of man walking on the moon, right? John F. Kennedy, when was it? 1962, right? He says we choose to go to the moon, right? And people in that moment, and people in NASA says, huh? They had no idea how are they going to accomplish that.
Right.
But here we are in 1950. After 50 years old, after 50 years, we walked the moon 50 years ago, and now where are we going? Where we are, developing ourselves to go to. We're thinking about going to Mars, right?
Right.
So the human mind is just they're unlimited, right? So today what I want to talk about is that how is this will, this power our mind could help us, assist us to winning the battle of ourselves, all the diseases and illnesses that we have, that we could break off from that belief that we, it's just the title of the name title of the disease that we been labeling all this time, thinking that there are so many people who are died off of that, so we can't, we don't think that we could beat that. But there are evidences out there. There's so many people they beat those diseases and they're still living their life happily ever after. So that's something that I kind of want to talk about today.
It just kind of reminds me, people worried about things that just ever gonna happen, or worry too much about all these things. So it's really kind of unnecessary worries we put it on our shoulder every day.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
so it's like I've been listening to you.
Wonderful. Somebody's at least listening to me. I mean, something simple. I mean,
yes.
In America, we have highest percentage of people complaining about back pains and shoulder pains and things like that.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Because sometimes it's even the language we utilize, it caused that. Because in our language, in English language, we say, it's a pain in the, and we have a pain in the back or, burn on the shoulders, or sometimes we say, then where it hurts. I don't know necessarily.
Everywhere.
But what I heard from the training and also training that I give, students from Netherlands, they said they don't have that kind of pains. They have a least percentage of pain of back and burn their shoulders in their country, and then tend to find out that they don't have a language like us, like pain in the back, burning the shoulders. Believe it or not, I mean that's true, right? So even the words that we utilize, that will actually unconsciously that embedded into us as that we believe that we do have a pain in the butt.
Right. I totally agree. I mean, I think a language is very important because I can't be around the people who curse too much. The reason why, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the curse, but they curse and then they relieve the stress.
Yes.
But those stress they relieved comes to me as a stress.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, I really kind of, don't want to kind of have these kind of extra stress because of other people. So I really can't be around too much.
Exactly.
First.
I mean, we will talk more about that in next section. But yeah, it is true. I mean, the quantum physics now found out that based on quantum physics, that all human beings are connected to each other through the energy.
Right.
I mean, this is we're going a little bit tangent onto the other subject, but all we have. I mean, we don't have a really solid object. All it is a circulation of the energy. Circulation is either faster or slower that makes the item solid or softer. But in the inside of it, all it is a raw energy. So how can we not connect to each other? Living in the same world, right? So what you feel, I tend to feel the same way too sometimes, because we are all connected to the energy.
So you always feel a lot of energy.
Yes, because
when you're around me.
Ginseng baby.
Yes, ginseng baby. Okay, well, yeah, that is important. And then another thing I kind of thought about, to what our mind could do and then make it limitless is break the stereotype.
Yes.
Because people really stuck with their mind about what other people say and do and all those kind of stuff, but everybody's a little different. So, they don't have to stuck in people's minds. True.
Right? Yeah. So let's go back to what I want to really talk about is how our thoughts affect our body. And that's, and with that answer, I think we could help ourselves to create some kind of immune system into our body and through our mind that we could fight these diseases. And there are cases, many cases that people have done doing that. I mean, for instance, like placebos, right? That's one of them. People believe that that drug they are getting from the doctor think it's going to work. So they heal themselves. I mean, there's story about story. I mean, this is a story, quick story about gentleman named Mr. Wright. And this was actually written from American Medical Association years back. The gentleman had a terminal disease, terminal cancer. And then he also, so he was in the institute, and then he also was studying about his disease, and then he was also studying about how he could cure that, because he always believed that he could cure that cancer himself, right? So he studied it, and he found out there's a drug they've been testing. The drug was called, I think, Crobizin. So he's been telling his doctor, I want to try that, I want to try that, I want to try that. But doctor says, this is all, they were this drug was on testing stage, so they tell all the doctors to give it to the patient who only have maybe 3 months or less on a terminal disease. But the doctor thought that he may have about 6 months or so. He didn't want to really pursue that with Mr. Wright, but he was persuading the doctor and on. So the doctor said, okay, go ahead and try it, right? So he gave it to him. Long story short, so he took it. He said he took it on Friday, and then the story goes, doctor said he went home and came back on Monday. He realized, seeing Mr. Wright, who was always a bed-bounded, he was running around talking to people and telling everybody how awesome this medicine is. And he said in that article, in that report, he says he really saw his lump, the cancer lumps, really kind of shrank. And some of them was almost like melted, shrank, smaller size. So, and then he was acting like he was all kind of like cured, and he could breathe and all that. So he discharged him. So he went outside, he went out in the world, and then he took on his normal habit. I mean, the hobby that he used to have, and he was flying the single jet plane on a 12,000. Altitude.
That's a nice hobby.
Without the oxygen, oxygen mask, right? So doctor thought that he was all, healing stage, and he was feeling fine. He was living his life until the medicine, the news says that Crobizin really does not do anything to the cancer patients.
So it's not medication.
And then he got really, So it's in your mind. It's a long story, so I'm going to stop right here. But anybody could take on the American Medical Association article about Mr. Wright, a cancer patient. So things like that. It's all in our mind. So it depends on how we believe that we could fight the diseases that we have. And we heard many other stories too. I know we're pretty much time buying here, but it is true that we could heal. And there are places that I like to talk about in section 2 that. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of evidence that we could fight this disease with our power, our mind.
Definitely, we do talk about power of mind today. Every Thursday, we're with Edward Hong, who is a personal development expert, and we will be right back. We're back every Thursday. We have Power of Mind with Edward Hong, who is a personal development expert. We're talking about power of mind with a cosine.
How'd you guess that?
Huh?
How did you guess that?
Body and mind connection today.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is the ultimate goal for power of mind, how our make our mind the limitless, right?
Yes.
So, I mentioned break the stereotype earlier segment a little bit. So when we talked about this, and it just kind of reminded me. So in Korea, Korean society is very conservative and everything by the book most of the time. Because I was the one who really didn't follow that textbook, I had some hard time.
So you're a rebel. Sorry.
No, because if you want to have a certain job, you have to study certain things at the university.
Sure.
And if you have a certain kind of a subject and a certain kind of a preparation, so you have to have a direction from like long time preparation.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't follow that path, it's just so much harder. So in my case, in Korea, I had to prove myself and I have to explain to all these different people about, no, I can do this, all those kind of positive energy to people, but not many people believed it because it's not by the book.
No.
Yeah, so that was my experience in Korea. But here in America, I think it's a little bit open-minded. At least people give anybody opportunity first.
Yes.
Well, they do have everything Korea has. So they're in what some similar, but the level of intensity is a little bit different.
Yeah.
So I really like the fact that at least they give people chance first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I believe that here have people with, the education system is a lot different here than
Right.
Korea.
Right.
And also parents, there are a lot of parents that are much more liberal than people in Korea. So they're more open-minded.
Were
Right?
you talking about Korean parents here or American parents?
American parents here. Yeah,
Well, Korean parents here are a little different. Maybe.
Yeah, some not. Right?
Yeah. Some are
mean,
open and then some are still
depending on how long you've been
Right.
living in the United States, and
Right.
sometimes because they've seen a lot, and then they deal with it a lot. Because children are educated in a different way than here than over there, and then they learn things that they come at and confront the
Right.
parents and things like that. So, the human mind, we always learn and then we grow, right? So
Right.
it changes our culture.
Right.
And that's the one thing too. We just have to have an open mind. That helps a lot too, because your mind will fully functional in an ultimate way. Like a parachute, it works best when it opens up fully, right?
It's not
Yeah. You go a little faster. If it's not,
a little
you
bit.
drop a little faster. So
Yes.
yeah, we gotta have an open mind because some people say, you know what? Some people they label it like a holistic treatments and things like that, and there was a herb involved and things, but that's not what I'm actually talking about here. One example, let's see, like the doctor Deepak Chopra. I don't know if you're familiar with the gentleman, but he's from India and he's been practicing his medical practice in Boston. He's a world-known author, and he has this holistic treatment. I don't want to even call it holistic treatment. It's like a psychosomatic, which is like a mind and body connection treatment in Carlsbad here, local from here, and it's called the Chopra Center. Sorry.
You need some butter.
Yes, Chopra Center.
Or oil.
Yeah, and he healed many famous people. And one of them was that I remember that I heard that story, Olivia Newton-John. Do you remember who she is? She's the one from movie Grease from John Travolta. Australian lady who actually married to Korean
Right.
gentleman once.
I think it was a boyfriend.
Was
And
it?
he was missing, I think.
Yeah, but boyfriend. But I thought, Anyway, so they
She's beautiful.
beautiful
girl, yeah.
lady. Yeah. So, one point she found out she had breast cancer, and she was admitted into medical doctor, and then she immediately had a surgery because that was recommended to her. So she had a mastectomy on one of her breasts.
Okay.
So she went through that, and she was okay for a while, and then they found out that this cancer came back, and it came back to her other breast.
Oh, okay.
And she didn't want to have another mastectomy because she didn't want to go through that again. So she looked around and did a research on, and then she found out about Chopra Center. So she made it there, and then that was 20 years ago. Anybody could go into the Chopra Center website, and it's about mind-body connection. It's about getting rid of your negative emotions. We'll talk about another story about a gentleman doctor named John Sarno, but the same thing too. Human body is built to heal itself. See, Deepak Chopra says that, I mean, this is scientifically proven that it's called what do you call it? I'm sorry.
Or say in Korean.
Atomic displacement.
Okay.
Anatomic displacement. Sorry about that. What it means is that every cell of our body is replaced with a new one every 10 to 12 months.
Okay.
So how come, this is his argument, how come the cancer cell that we had in our body was still there years after sometimes? How is that happening? So many doctors like himself, he's a very prevalent doctor, medical doctor, MD. Once he was practiced modern medicine, and also the John Sarno doctor that we're going to talk about later, and also the medical doctor, he was actually a surgeon. They all believe in that this disease are not there because because the negative emotions that we're carrying upon them, we're keeping it with us.
Okay.
So now they change their treatment, method of the treatment, different way, and healing people like Olivia Newton-John, Howard Stern, and those people are looking into that, right? And then they're getting a lot of great result upon that. So that's the main thing that I want to talk about today. The negative emotions, they are helping us because every cell in our body is affected by what we think and by what you hold in your mind. The thought in our mind, because our body listens to our thoughts and our language. That's why I always tell people that be careful what you're saying about your body, about anybody else, because human beings are built to take everything personally. So sometimes when you say something bad thing about other people, actually your body listens to it for you. So those kind of things. I mean, those kind of things are but those kind of things are part of the treatments they do in those treatment centers. And this body that we carry around, I usually call it like this meat suit that we carry around. It does everything what our brain tell it to do. So it's all about our mind. It's all about our mind. I mean, from birth to death, our life happens towards whatever the domain thoughts that we direct it to, which is true, don't you believe? Right?
Well, I'm a believer, but I don't think everybody.
Yeah. So what I said, scientifically proven that our nerve system actually, we always thought that human mind, our brain, is the one that thinking and stored memories, but they found out that actually it's a whole body with a whole nerve system that's through our body thinks thoughts through our body. So it's not just our brain, because our brain sends a message, and we have a you call neurotransmitter, but simply it says what it does is sending a message to all through our body. And we have 7 billion cells, and this nerve system touches each cells, and the connections is trillion connections in our body that's thinking. The time you start thinking in brain, all our body start thinking together. So it's really critical that how we have an open mind and how we think about those diseases, right? And pass that message into our body. That's the pretty much concept of how this works.
Right. I mean, for some people who always think about positive thinking and always think that direction, probably it's easier to do. But those of who it's not always like that, always like a lot of ups and downs, and those kind of a personality and those kind of a mind in their brain. It might be exhausting thing. Think about positive and a lot of energy all the time.
True.
Right?
Yeah, that is true.
So probably next segment we kind of talk about for everybody how we train ourselves to be positive and then feel more kind of energetic.
Yep.
so we could get a little more things done.
Yeah, because we get what we focus on, and if you just focus on certain things, that's what's going to happen in your mind. Because if that's your domain thought,
Right.
that your life's going to be directed to that. So, I wanna before we go, I wanna give you like three things that we could do, real quick things that we could do to be open-minded and get over our negative emotions. So, number one, to have a mind to connect it to your body, to have carry a healthy life, or fighting for what disease that you have, is you gotta get rid of your negative emotions, right? Yeah, just have
That's the first thing.
That's the first thing. Just have a mind full of a curiosity of to learn, to grow your mind, to fight this disease. Because what you focus on, that's what you're gonna get. So if you focus on healing your disease, it will happen at the end of it. It's proven many times, right? So connect yourself all the time. Live your life in a positive attitude and make it a habit of learn or like connected to this personal development. Thoughts and grab a self-help books and grab a CD and make it a habit of that. Listen to it all day and then ground yourself, meditations, and like podcasts, seminars, trainings if it helps, right? Or anything about that helps you to be a positive thought, giving you a positive thought about your diseases or whatnot that you have. So you got to fill your mind with the positive thoughts.
Connect with the world. Don't stuck on yourself. Yeah.
And here's a real kind of little quick. The method that I utilize is that this is followed by this the Yoga Sutra in 600 AD came down for many years, and it says where there is a negative thought, let there be a reflection on the contrary. Meaning that when you have a negative thought, here's what I do. When I have a negative thoughts, I think about 10 good thoughts and I pound it on that. So that's how it helps you to get rid of that negative thought, which is the easiest way to go, right? And number two is keep yourself very healthy. Commit yourself to like physical exercise regimens and eat yourself healthy, right? Vegetables, there's a lot of books about how to eat healthy, right?
Well, I mean, maybe some of you who listen to this show right now who's maybe already not healthy, but try to be healthy. So it's a little bit better.
Because everything is habitual. If you don't like it now, but if you try a little bit, and then a little more, and that way, and then it'll build into your body, and then it'll be okay. I mean, it is true, garbage in, garbage out. Right?
Okay.
So, right?
Scary. Okay.
And number three, take a responsibility for everything that happens in your life. Because you want to be positive and you want to change your life. You got to really avoid drifting into victim state.
Don't blame other people.
Exactly, because there's nothing to learn over there. It'll make you small. There's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
The land of victimhood, there's no learning, no desire.
Nobody's going to do it for you.
Nobody's going to do it for you, and there's no hope, right? And if you're interested on that, read a book named Outwitting the Devil. I love that book.
So that's going to be next segment?
No, that's not. Yeah, we could do that. But that book, it's a very interesting book, and I recommend anybody to read that once. It says one of the devil's duties, to keep human being drifting around the life with no purposes.
Okay. All right.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me.
Yeah. So there's the three things. Just eliminate your negative emotions and keep your body healthy and take responsible for everything in your life.
That is a
grow.
power of mind.
Yes.
Every Thursday, we have Edward Hong. He is a self-development expert. And then we're talking about today, mind connection. It's indeed power of mind. We will be right back, guys. Every Thursday, we have a Power of Mind with Edward Hong, who is a self-development expert. Okay, this time, Book time.
Book time.
Yes.
I love this section because this is where we grow. This is where we grow. You see the passion of it. We gotta grow.
Okay, whatever you say.
So all right. So this week I want to recommend this book called The Divided Mind.
Divided Mind.
Yeah,
okay.
it connects with what we talked about today, mind-body connection. It was written by a gentleman, the doctor named John Sarno. Yeah, and he's actually he was a professor and physician and a director of outpatient department in New York University Medical Center. And he's a medical doctor who was helping a lot of patient with spinal surgeries.
Oh.
And then
Serious.
after decades of his work, he realized that people who had surgery, spinal surgery, within 6 months they come back. And then they're having a same or more pains they used to have.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So he decided to go into this holistic treatments, and then he studied about it, and then he was working in a rehabilitation department in New York Medical Center, and he approached a different method. And this actually came out in 2020 with Barbara Walter, and interviewing the patients how it has worked. And almost 90% to 90%, close to 100% people, even though they went back, talked to the patients, they said they got rid of their pain. And look at this book, look at the reviews. There are hundreds of reviews there. The people who read this book, they actually heal their pains. Because what he's saying is that, listen, the reason you're having a pain is there's something, it's a sign of your unconscious mind telling you, hey, there's something's coming. Right? And
actually didn't come yet. But
it's coming. And they're like, there's nothing wrong with that. Don't have a negative emotions on that. It's just there's something my body's telling me there's something's going to happen. So it's just giving you a sign of that. And human bodies, like I said earlier, he says, it's a self-healing system. He says, when you have a broken arm and you go see a doctor, he doesn't fix it. He stabilizes it until it heals itself.
Okay.
Right? So he actually had a practice out in Malibu and had a lot of helped a lot of people in West Side also. So he decided to, if you have a chance, go look at the YouTube. It's a Dr. John Sarno Healing Back Pain 2020. It was in 2020 program and in TV, very famous. And I know we're running out of time, so I'll make it quick. There's another book that I want to really recommend with the same author that I loved it. It's a healing back pain. I had a gentleman who worked with me for almost 20 years. And throughout the 20 years time, he had, believe it or not, I think I talked to you about him, he had 6 spinal surgeries.
One is serious enough.
Yeah. So I helped him with the hypnotherapy, and also he read this book, and he's coping with it, and no pain. I don't want to say 100%, but he knows how to handle that.
He changed his mind.
So this gentleman, Dr. Sarno, if you see on YouTube, he doesn't have any kind of medical, like tools to heal the people, help the people. He simply sits you down in a class and he talks to you. And just have you change your perspective on spinal pains in different ways to have yourself to believe in to change the meaning of that, and they cope with it, and they're very much a lot of satisfied customers or clients, like Howard Stern. He's this doctor's lifetime patient, and he even had a neurology on when John Sarno passed in his funeral. So look into it. I highly recommend it. It'll help you to have less pain.
Okay. Yeah. So the book recommendation today is called A Divided Mind by Dr. John Sarno.
Yes.
Okay.
Sarno.
Okay. So we'll look it up. Thank you so much.
You're
every
welcome.
week. And today it's more topic I can relate to.
Great. Yay.
It's my show, so.
Right on.
You have to make me happy.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your effort this week. And then I'll see you next week with different topic.
Yes, thank you so much for inviting me, and everyone have a powerful day.